So tonight for dinner, I'm going to make calzones for 6 hungry firefighters, and I'm going to stuff this thing with ricotta cheese, mozzarella, and pepperoni. Now this is all the ingredients that you're going to need to make it by hand, and it is going to be all homemade except for the red sauce that goes inside of it. Now the first thing we want to start off making is the dough because it's going to take the longest to make as well as set up. So what I do is I take 1 cup of warm water, put it into my KitchenAid stand mixer that's got the dough hook. Next, I add 2¼ teaspoons of yeast. Then I come in with 2 tablespoons of sugar. And the sugar is what's really going to get everything active and growing and whatnot. So once all that's mixed in, drop the top, lock it in place. I turn mine on power level 3 and just allow it to mix and agitate really well. Now after this thing is mixed up, you don't have any big clumps, go ahead and shut everything off. And you want this thing to rest for about 3 to 5 minutes. Now, you know it's ready to go when the whole kitchen, 1, smells like beer, and 2, you have a really thick layer of foam at the very top. So at that point, I start continuing to work to make this dough. So I will add in 1 tablespoon of salt. I then go in with about 2 splashes or 2 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil. I'll also use the funnel attachment that comes with it because it'll keep the mess down and it'll help me kind of guide the flour going in nice and slow. And really it's all about not making a giant mess at this point because flour gets everywhere every time I do this. So all I'm doing here, guys, is I'm taking 3 cups of King Arthur flour. This is the bread flour. And I'm adding in 1 cup of flour very slowly at a time. So after I got that 1 cup in, I'll take a little rubber spatula. I'll start to scrape the sides down and just try to push everything into the middle where that dough hook is swinging around and just allow it to mix up very slowly that way. So once I've pushed it in, scoop up another cup of flour, tap it in, incorporate it nice and slow. And then all you're going to do is just repeat this process until you get 3 cups of flour in the mixer. And then at that point, I go ahead and step the power level up to about a number 3 or a number 4 and let that thing start whipping around and kneading it in nicely. So as it goes, it's going to take about 6 to 8 minutes or so is what I would calculate. And the closer it gets to being finished, the more of a ball it's going to be down there on the bottom. So pretty much once it starts to look like this and you get a little baseball looking size piece, you know it's done. So go ahead and turn it off, tilt it up, take the dough off the dough hook, throw a little flour down on your clean prepped surface, and just grab that little baseball out of there and toss it down. Now, with this dough, you guys, afterwards, you're going to need to work it by hand. And the reason you need to work it by hand is because it's not ready, it's not incorporated. Now, if you see as I hold it up, it kind of looks like cauliflower. You don't want that. You want it to be kind of smooth. So I like to kind of smooth it out, round it out to start with. Then I just do a little push-pull technique where I'm pulling the outside edges pushing the outside edges and pulling it back into the middle. And I'm just giving it a really nice stretch, working it that way. Now you notice I took the flour and I wiped it out of the way because I don't want this dough to get too dry. So I kind of use a little bit of common sense and not keep adding flour to an overly dry piece of dough. So now I'm taking that greased bowl. I'll go ahead and toss the bread dough mixture in there. Take a little clear saran wrap, gently set it over the top. Just want to make sure that nothing is exposed to the air, and that bowl's prepared. I'll do it again for number 2, and I'll do it again for number 3. So I got 3 of these things going at this point. So now let's go ahead and get the sauce ready. Now you could just use the sauce just like it comes out of the can, but for me, I like to spice it up just a little bit. So I'll take 2 jars of this Classico sauce, put it into a little bit too warm of a pan. I made kind of a mess there, but it's okay. So once I get a hold of that sauce in there, I then take the Kingsford garlic and herb all-purpose seasoning. I shake on about a tablespoon of this stuff into it and whisk it up. Now this all-purpose seasoning is really good for Italian salsas or Italian dishes. It just really brings a lot of really good Italian rustic flavor to it. So anytime I get an opportunity to enhance flavor, I'll take that opportunity. So like I said, just give it a nice little whisk. Make sure your heat's on very, very low so it doesn't splatter, make a giant mess. And just let this thing kind of warm up and simmer for roughly an hour or so. So while that's happening, you know me, I'm going to clean up behind myself as I go. any pots, pans, dishes, anything I can do to kind of limit the mess at the very end. I take full advantage of that because I don't like a big cleanup afterwards. So just go ahead and wash, rinse everything off. And just a little public service announcement. You're not officially done doing the dishes until you have cleaned the sink. So take that sponge, put a little Palmolive dish soap on it, and make sure you scrub the sink. This is something that I learned from my parents a long time ago when I was little, before we had dishwashers. So you always clean the sink when you're done. Wink, wink. So when I'm done with the dishes, I go back over to that prep surface and give it a clean as well. A little water vinegar mixture, spray it on top of these stainless steel counters, give everything a nice little scrub, a nice little wipe, make sure there's no cross contamination, make sure I'm not picking up any other food particles, because I am going to need to be handling quite a bit of dough on this surface coming up here in about another hour and a half or so. So while I got the opportunity, I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and clean. All right, so let's talk cheese. I'm a big cheese connoisseur. I really like this whole milk mozzarella cheese as well. Not a big fan of that skim mozzarella that you get that's pre-shredded in the bags. So if you want a better quality tasting cheese that you can actually taste the difference, spend just a little bit of extra money and get this nicer cheese here. Now this cheese does come in a 1 pound block. It's unsliced at the way I buy it. So all you want to do is just kind of take your knife and just cut it into pieces about like this, and that'll make a really nice chunk of cheese that'll melt inside that calzone, and each calzone will get about 5 pieces. So as you see, everything's laid out here. I've even cut some Monterey Jack for me because I am lactose intolerant. That's my substitute for this dish. Okay, so let's get ready to roll out and form up this dough. So the dough's been rising for about an hour and a half at this point, and it has doubled in size. So I'll just take it out of the bowl, toss it down on a little bit of that cornmeal so it doesn't stick, punch it to get that big giant air bubble out, and now back to my push-pull method. So push-pull, push-pull, get a little bit of that air out, form it back up, make a nice little ball, take that piece of dough, cut it in half, and half of one of these mixtures, you guys, is going to make one giant calzone. So I did 3 bowls, so that's going to give me 6 big full calzones. So now all I'm doing here is just forming it up into a little ball. So I take a baking sheet, cover it with aluminum foil that's greased with olive oil so it doesn't stick. And I go ahead and just start forming these things out into nice little round balls. And I'll just put 3 on each baking sheet, which will give me a total of 6. So once you get done with this, set them all on those pans, cover everything up with clear saran wrap, and just set it to the side. Because guys, these things are going to increase by probably about another 50 or 75%. They're just going to grow a little bit more. And that's what that yeast is going to do. It's going to continue every time you stop working with it. It's going to continue to grow a little more and a little more each time. So once you get this formed up nicely, just set them all off to the side just like that, and you will be good to go. So as you see here, they have grown in size just like I was telling you about. Now I'm just kind of feeling them to feel if they're nice and soft and pillowy, and they are. They're wonderful. And now it's time to start building these things. So there's my cheese tray with my mozzarella and my Monterey Jack. I've got my pepperoni and my ricotta cheese. So again, we put just a little bit of cornmeal down so nothing sticks. Take one of my soft pillowy doughs. Man, these things are wonderful. They smell so good right now too. And all I'm going to do is just start forming this thing out. So if you see, as I'm kind of taking my fingers, I'm just pushing the edges down, then I start attacking the middle. Then I'm just going to kind of do a little push slide kind of thing, and I'm just slowly stretching the dough as I push it and flatten it out. And really, there's 1,000 different ways that you can do this. This is just something that I like to do. And once I got enough cornmeal down the bottom where it doesn't stick, I start to slide some of that excess cornmeal out of the way, because I don't need it to really absorb too much more cornmeal. I just don't want it to stick to the surface of the counter. So once I got it rolled out, flattened out about like that, take me a little cup, smash the edges down just a little bit, help this thing grow in size a little bit as well, and that'll give me a little bit more working space to put some goodies in. So speaking of goodies, we're going to take that marinara sauce that is nice and cool. It's room temperature, it's not hot. So I'll go ahead and put about 3 big ladles of this right down in the middle. And really, this is all up to you as far as how much sauce you want. But you do want to make sure you have a little sauce left over, because some guys like to dip their calzone in extra sauce or put more sauce on afterwards. So you may have to get a third bottle of pasta sauce just in case, or red sauce just in case. So now let's take that cheese. We'll start layering that cheese on. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. Just take, what would be approximately 5 ounces of cheese or so. Toss it on this thing, break it up, make it even, make it uneven. Again, it doesn't really matter. And then after that, I'll come on top of the pepperoni. Put as much or as little pepperoni on there as you want. If you want to go with different meats or vegetables, you can add whatever you want at this time. Now, as you start to close this guy up, I just grab the sides and bring the sides in first. Once I pull it over, kind of smash down a little bit, I want to form a nice little pretty pocket, and then come over with that very top flap, and then the second flap at the very end. I'll bring him on over, tuck him underneath just a little bit, and that thing's beautiful. Oh, except for one problem. I forgot my ricotta cheese. So no problem though. I'll undo it, unfold it just like an envelope, put me some nice big dollops of ricotta cheese down. Again, this is your dish. You can make as much or as little as you want, but I'll just do about 3 of those, and then rebuild this sucker. No harm, no foul. These guys aren't even going to know what's wrong, what will happen unless they see this video. But take that guy, she's beautiful at this point, set it on that pan, and you're going to do that for all 6 of those things. Now, if you notice, one of those guys has a little piece of pepperoni. That's mine. It just lets me know which one's mine so I don't accidentally eat the wrong one. So into a 425 degree oven they go for roughly 12 to 14 minutes. And all you're going to do at this point is just keep an eye on them. Once they start to brown up, pull those guys out, toss them on a plate. If you see right there, they are larger than the plate. Those are about 11 to 12 inch plates, and they're hanging off the side. And that's how you make mozzarella pepperoni stuffed calzones for 6 hungry firefighters.